that adventure works out. But today on the podcast, we have our guest, Robert Dunn of Aging Wheels. Robert has a popular YouTube channel. He does all kinds of cool stuff with cars, EVs. He's been a speaker at EVCon, and he's right up the road. And we find him out here charging his vehicles all the time, and just had him come in today and talk to you about electric vehicles and just anything that's on his mind. So let's go. Hey, Robert. We usually don't have a guest. No one will come play with us. We're locked in here on Morgan Oak.
We got Robert Dunn in the house.
Hey!
Audio listeners.
Isn't there like a clap or something on this?
Probably.
Sure you don't hit the fart button by mistake.
Good enough for government work.
It's good enough for government work. Yep. So we just got done watching the Cybertruck delivery event.
And it was very disappointing.
It was very anticlimactic. Like nothing new, nothing we didn't already know.
But the website had details on it afterward. Elon didn't say anything during the event, but the website had some juicy details, and even more questions were raised after the website details.
Yeah, I was really hoping that he was going to hit on some of that stuff, but it was just kind of a reiteration of the announcement back to
A reiteration
4 years
of the
ago.
big gimmicky marketing things, too.
Yeah, it was disappointing. So.
Well, what didn't disappoint it was that it was 27 minutes late.
Oh my God.
You know, I mean, some things never change.
And they hit the window with a baseball.
Barely a baseball.
Very soft,
I think that was a dollar store baseball.
That was dinky. That was
Quite literally lobbed a softball at it.
They did. It was kind of sad.
a few times they should have played music like wah, wah. Yeah.
Poor Franz. What is his job now?
Poor Franz.
It was I was really hoping that they would talk about a lot of the other details, what they were going to be starting off with. They didn't really hit on any of that.
No, did he say any details other they said it has four-wheel steer. They said the ground clearance number.
Which was higher than originally, because I think it was originally supposed to be like 16 inches. Which
Does it have air suspension? Do we know that?
It does.
It does. Okay.
Yeah.
Did they say that in the event?
They said it was self-leveling, but they didn't say how. Air suspension. Okay.
And you can't roll it over because the center of gravity is so low, and I was kind of curious
very
as to like.
Typical EV things.
Yeah, pretty much. Nothing surprising.
Does it even have a frunk? We don't know that yet, do we? Aside from leaked images.
Well, it's pretty short. You know what I mean? In the
Yeah.
front. So even if there was a small space, like it wouldn't be.
You just open up the frunk and your luggage falls out on the floor.
Again, it's just like more questions than answers.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, across the board.
Which is what
it
we're
seems
doing
like
now.
Everyone,
Yes.
everyone had the same reaction, like on Twitter and, the Now You Know podcast after podcast. Yeah. Video channel.
Should I bring up the very limited but existing spec sheet that we have for the Cybertruck?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I had some written down. There's the 11,000-pound tow capacity, composite bed.
So there's going to be 3 variants. There's going to be the rear-wheel drive, a.k.a. single motor. There's going to be I'm scrolling on the wrong place, all-wheel drive, a.k.a. dual motor. And then there's the Cyber Beast. I'm doing air quotes for the audio listeners. It's going to have tri-motors. And the thing I really hate about these stats already is that they're quoting the range with a range extender that they have mentioned nothing about. And they're saying that with the range extender, it'll be 440 miles on the Cyber Beast trim. What does that mean without the range extender? 300?
Yeah.
And the torque number is also just maddening to me because they quote the torque at the wheels like the Hummer EV did, and it's 10,000 pound-feet or something ridiculous like that. It's just not.
Like the videos were pretty impressive. I thought that was cool. They did the Porsche.
I mean, I hope they were
race,
impressive because that's
the
all
curb weight, like the what was it, the truck pull, where it outbeat the Ford F350, F150, the Rivian, and what was the other one?
I like the truck pull especially because they picked a really
Lightning.
short track.
Yeah.
So that they had to steer off of the track.
It did a turn.
At the very end.
It did a turn.
Yeah. And the wire steering.
Yeah, the drive-by-wire. Yeah, that was cool.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
The 48-volt system.
Yeah.
I wish they would have mentioned anything about the battery the high-voltage battery specs.
Well, and even with the extender, it's like, is it going to be another battery that you are adding on to it, or is it within like the actual software itself?
I think they kept it vague because it doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think they wanted to hit somewhere
More
near
questions
that.
than answers
Yeah.
on that part too.
It could be a hydrogen fuel cell range extender for all we know.
Yeah, there's like no details whatsoever. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with that.
I started pulling it up and then I immediately forgot about it. It says the range without the range extender right here on the page, 320 miles for the Cyber Beast. For the dual motor, 340 miles, which is a little bit less than a Rivian R1T dual motor that can get with the large pack 350 miles. It's not that big of a difference. And for the rear wheel drive, they're quoting 250 miles. I would venture to bet that they're going to have an LFP pack in the rear wheel drive model,
Yeah.
which would be the one to get probably. And 7,500 pounds towing on the rear wheel drive model, 11,000 pounds for the other two.
Yeah. And the single's coming out.
And we're not going to see that rear-wheel drive model for a while.
Yeah.
2025 is what they say, which means December 31st of 2025.
Yeah, we'll still be waiting.
Yes.
Do you have a Rivian on order, or are you just gonna put one on order?
I was joking about that. You're going to pressure me now.
That's why you're in the hot seat.
I got to spend.
This is the hot seat.
I got to
Welcome
spend a month with a Rivian, and now I very badly want one. But at the same time, I got to spend a month with a Rivian, so I got to have that experience.
Yeah.
And I went on a towing road trip with it.
Yeah.
I got to live with it every day. I took a dozen people on rides in it, and it was the best experience ever.
Yeah. John, that came to EVCon when he came down from St. Louis with the Rivian. Let me take that for a ride. And I'm kind of critical of other EVs just because I love Tesla and I love Elon. But I was really impressed with the Rivian. It was a nice ride.
It is incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
I
liked it a lot.
I would, if financials didn't stand in the way, I would happily trade off my Polestar for it. It's good.
Don't you have like a bunch of cars?
Maybe. Are you accusing me of something?
No, that's not from what I picked up between you and Ian. How many cars do you have?
Are we talking about roadworthy? Because the number of roadworthy is much smaller.
Projects?
I'm stalling because I don't know. 13, I think I have now.
Wow.
And this weekend I'm getting 2 more.
Okay. That's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah.
It. Yeah. Well, I have 5 Cybertrucks on order. And on that spreadsheet, what was interesting is that, the order was placed literally November 19th at like midnight. The confirmation email came in at like 2 a.m. But it's still at 2,500-ish, give or take, a couple in line. And it's, according to that spreadsheet that they had created from the Tesla owners, it's projected to be delivered in like 2026 or something, 25.
It's very soon.
I'm like, come on, man.
They aren't going to make 2,500 between now and 2026?
I don't know. Well, obviously, since it's a dual motor, they're all dual motors. Some of the ones that were placed much later, like even as far as 2020, that are the tri-motors, were saying 2024. And I'm like, this is horseshit. I want it now. But whatever. So
what was when they announced it initially, what was the original launch time? Didn't they say 2019 or 2020 or something? Or did they launch it in 2019?
They launched it in 2019. Yeah.
And they said, like, what, 2 years?
Yeah, right in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, and then that pushed it back. And then, I think that they'd done recent updates to their Gigafactory. So then that pushed it back even more.
Yeah.
I just realized I'm wearing a Rivian hat while talking about the Cybertruck. Is that legal?
That's why he's got his sunglasses on his hat.
It's a good car. It's a good car. So the other thing I kind of wanted to talk about, something we've been working on was, working out the infrastructure, right? But also something that we had mentioned and discussed a bit during EVCon was the whole driving etiquette. So how that comes into play. There's not much of a network around here. And you did that video where you were talking about.
So actually, I did the video. I went from St. Louis down to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and that trip was horrible. The charging infrastructure was so unreliable.
What do you think the percentage was of the ones that were actually working that were non-Teslas?
At full speed? Because are we talking about working at all?
Well, both. The percentage of, what do you think the percentage was of not working or didn't communicate, and then what do you think was full speed?
I targeted 10% at every charging stop so I could get full speed if the charger would deliver it. And of all of the stops that I went to, I got full power at one single station. And at several of these stops, like Electrify America, the typical setup is 4 stations. I I bounced between chargers to see if any of them could give me full power. And out of the 12 or 16 stations that I stopped at in Tennessee, only one of them gave me full power. It was ridiculous because that whole stretch is very unmaintained.
Yeah.
But alternatively, I went on another road trip, not down to Chattanooga, but starting in St. Louis and went to Knoxville. Just 2 months after that in a Rivian with a trailer. I thought it was going to be horrible. The infrastructure they're building out there and going up into Virginia is incredible.
Really?
It's right outside of Knoxville, there is a Pilot Flying J that has two 350 kilowatt EVGOs. This is a partnership with Pilot, GM, and EVgo.
Okay.
And these two 350 kilowatt chargers were pull-through for trailers under
nice.
a well-lit canopy
I like that.
at a truck stop.
Yeah. I
was
saw
incredible.
like one pull through that you had in your other video that you recently had done, and then the EVgo one where it was like the VW actual dealership.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice. With the canopies and the lighting and then the pull through. I wish they all had that. That would be awesome.
I mean, Pilot Flying J is building out a network in partnership with EVgo, they're building out a network of chargers at truck stops. They're not all canopies and they're not all pull-throughs. We stopped at a few of them and only one or two of them had canopies, but that's still a huge step up from what we have now.
How many do they currently have?
It's a small number. I think they currently active, they have like, if I had to guess, 20 or so, and they're mostly on this side of the country, on the east side, in the Midwest area. But they're building out, and they're going to have I think the end goal is to have a truck stop with 350 kilowatt chargers every 50 miles on the interstates. And they're
Throughout the whole country?
Throughout the whole country. There's, in Missouri right now, along I-70, there's 3 under construction. I've been to one. It's canopies, and it's the only reason it's not online yet is because they don't have the pad mount transformer yet. Everything else is installed, the canopy, the chargers, everything. It's being built out really fast. And Circle K is also building out chargers. The state of Illinois has a network of chargers going in from various different people. There was one stop we did in Virginia on this Rivian trip where and there was an EVgo across the street that wasn't quite activated yet, but I'm going to count it anyway. We had 3 different charging networks to pick from in this one town. One was Circle K, one was EVgo, and the other one was Electrify America.
And they all worked.
They all worked. The Circle K one was really astounding because right now they have 2 180 kilowatt chargers that worked pretty well, but the site was pre-planned for 4 expansion places. And I talked to one of the guys at Circle K. They're pre-wired for 400 kilowatt chargers. And there's already one, it's an Alpitronic unit in North Carolina where their test site is. And they're going to start rolling those out pretty soon.
What's their timeline?
I don't know. I don't know yet. I think that largely relies on what Alpitronic's manufacturing timeline is.
Yeah.
But all the sites in Illinois that they're putting up, they just put up one in Champaign that has pull-through sites. And right now it has 2 180 kilowatt chargers, and it's pre-wired for 2 400 kilowatt chargers. It can and each one of them can charge 2 vehicles simultaneously at 600 amps.
Oh, wow.
It's just, we're getting there real fast.
We're getting there, yeah.
Not fast enough.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This is true, yeah.
I mean, you can't really go on a trip and then, what was the percentage? Maybe 20% worked?
Yeah, it was real sad. And the usability.
I don't know that's the number. I was just trying to guess.
I don't know what it is either, but that sounds right.
It was pretty bad.
And it's not that way in all parts of the country, but on the other hand, in some places it's worse.
Well,
Yeah, when the Wall Street Journal, she did a trip. She went to Southern California, I think to 100 charge ports, and 20% of them didn't work at all. Almost none of them delivered full power. And in California, they're old too. So there is a bunch of federal money to update the existing charger network,
Right.
Because that's part of the problem is the equipment is,
but you would think that they
old.
have that built out already because they're high adopters.
the adopters, it's
They're also
crazy.
being hammered and they're not being kept up on maintenance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they have the issue of charge anxiety because they don't have enough.
Yeah, they've got infrastructure issues there. I mean, and there's companies that's all they do is work on the chargers and stuff, but there's they're more complicated. There's motherboards that are it's looking like looking into old computers almost.
I mean, Electrify America's setups, their chargers are hilarious because they run Windows.
Oh my.
What is this?
I sat there. I called Electrify America one time to see if I could get the charger to work. They rebooted it, and I watched the Windows boot up sequence.
Oh,
It
man.
is literally Windows on
Yeah.
these
Oh,
things.
my.
Well, we were looking at, just what's around here. I think there's something like 25 of them. I know that when you did your trip, and maybe other times, because I think one of the reviews that you had posted on PlugShare was for the Aces.
Oh,
Yeah, for the Aces.
Yeah, and then the
hate
Schnucks
those Aces.
ones. And so I was like going through and seeing which chargers, like every single one of those stations
It's
had,
garbage.
how many they had, what they were charging, all that, all the information on
My
it.
favorite charger here in Cape Girardeau is the ACs off of I-55 because you have this sad little dumpster charger that can deliver. It says it can deliver 120 kilowatts. The cable is amperage limited to 200 amps, which means normally 80 kilowatts for a 400-volt car, but they're limited to 60. And then across the parking lot is an 8-stall V3 supercharger that works fine all the time.
Yeah,
And it's such a pain to start those chargers, too.
that's the one on what, Veterans?
That's the one on Veterans right by the highway, by the on-ramp, yeah.
Yeah.
And I went around Cape Girardeau because there's 3 of those AC's chargers scattered around Cape
Right.
Girardeau. All of them are limited to 60 kilowatts, except for one that's limited to 30.
Right. So that was the ACs off of what, Perryville?
Off of Lexington and Perryville, yeah.
Yeah, that we had stopped.
That's the one we went to after a drinking for 3 hours at a wine and liquor tasting on a Saturday afternoon. So some of it could be our fault,
Well,
but I doubt it.
we
we went back.
on it again, and it was. I mean, it's right next to their drive-through.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, it's a terrible place, too. Yeah.
And you can't get through it if you get trapped in the people that work there
spot.
park.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
behind it.
Yeah,
right,
it's
and
terrible.
then the pole is knocked over. Like it's a mess.
The saddest part about all of those AC's chargers is that I know there was some businessman who wanted, the guy that owned the property or the gas station, who wanted to serve EV drivers, and they got swindled out of a couple $100,000 to buy these chargers
That don't even work.
that don't even work.
I know.
No.
It's so disappointing. And
It would be better to not have any charger there at all than to have those.
Have those, exactly.
Yeah, and then there's the Schnucks
Oh,
where
God, yeah.
Yeah,
one of them doesn't work
ever.
ever. One of them does.
Delivers 1.6 kilowatts.
Yeah.
And then you go and ask the Schnucks.
No, they don't.
They don't
have
know.
No freaking idea because it's supposed to be maintained by
Well, and
technically, but
and that kind of
maintenance on it.
and that kind of gets us to another thing is like people, you go to a charging station and there's no attendant. I mean, nobody knows about it, especially if you're new. I mean, how do you, at least if you have a problem at a gas station with the pump, you can go inside and ask somebody.
That's one of the things that's theoretically nice about the truck stop EVgo Pilot J chargers is that theoretically, I haven't tried this out, but an attendant will be able to help you.
That would be
It's
awesome.
got Pilot Flying J branding all over these chargers. That reflects badly on them if the
Exactly.
chargers don't work.
Right. There's a little bit of accountability attached to that.
Yeah.
And they've got Ultium branding over them, which reflects poorly on GM if they don't work. Granted, most people don't know what the hell an Ultium is,
Yeah.
but theoretically.
It's an issue. And then there's the whole etiquette thing, which I'm sure you
You were probably trying to segue into that, and I just totally derailed it.
it's cool. We roll
It's
with
okay. Yeah, we're good. We just roll our own around here. We roll our own around here. Yeah.
it. Brian crazy because he's like, oh my God. And I'm like, it's fine. We'll figure it out.
Can I see one of
It
the?
just causes more. It just causes more editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
So what are some of the most common things?
the things that I see and I have to educate people on is one, at charge points, how to start the charge. I go by the Schnucks in Festus, for where I live, fairly often and see people just standing by the charge point looking confused. And
Yeah.
I've stopped, I think, 5 different times and just paid for their charge so that they don't have to deal with it. It's a free charger. Don't give me too much credit.
But it seems like you paid. What a nice fella.
Yeah.
It's the gesture.
Yeah, that's right. That's
The other
right.
thing is not charging to 100%.
Yeah.
Oh,
God, I hate that.
that's nice that Tesla rolled out that new update where it's you can't really charge over 90%.
Yeah, you get a full penalty.
You'll
Yeah.
get the fee.
So many people, and Tesla gives you information while you're charging. They'll say things like charge
the
limit
data.
to 80%,
Right.
and things like that. but that requires vertical integration. For things like my Polestar, it doesn't give you any sort of message. You just have to be watching the kilowatt speed to know that it's slowing down.
Oh, wow.
I encountered a rental Polestar in Tennessee who was taking the last available charger, and by the way, it was the only full-speed charger at that stop, and he was charging to 100%, and he walked back to his car, and I had to stop, and I didn't want to be too much of a jerk or anything, but I said, look, these things take an hour to go from 90 to 100%. You don't charge to 100% in a rapid charger.
Right.
And he was just complaining about the car because, it charges slowly. Like, because you're doing it wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So
Well,
you usually get out and you go talk to them or.
I try to, yeah.
and I think as we get more and more people non-Tesla vehicles, as they open up the supercharger
That's
network,
going to be such a nightmare.
it's going to be a nightmare because they don't know, and the car isn't integrated like a Tesla
And
is.
not all cars will be compatible.
No.
And the biggest thing that I worry about is 800-volt cars. Like my mom has a Kia EV6. Charging at a supercharger, because they can only output 500 volts, she's going to be limited to 40 kilowatts.
Exactly. Yeah.
And in some places, the Tesla supercharger is the only rapid charger. So
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what's.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It'll be interesting.
and these cars that aren't Teslas won't be able to use V2 superchargers either. Get people to understanding that.
Right. Right.
Oof.
Yeah. Knowing and what's available in front of me, and just it's going to cause some issues.
I think I'm just going to quit my job and roam around to chargers educating people.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Like that's what you're already doing. But yeah, so I was watching that video. What is your thing? Like, you don't like the downloading the app and just paying through that way?
No, you should have a credit card reader at all of these.
Yeah. That's
That it's just seamless. And with Tesla, they have signs usually where it's you scan this and it gives them direction, especially if they're non-Tesla users. So that's nice, but that's not the same across the board. A lot
I
of
think
times,
we should have
No.
all the options,
right?
yeah.
app
Yeah.
or card.
Yeah, and then the thing is, a lot of times with some of these chargers, the payment system is not integrated with the
Right.
with where EVgo or Electrify America. It's a totally different payment provider,
Yeah,
and you've got issue. And then you download the app. Now you've got to.
and so many of them you don't pay for the charge, you pay a balance, and then they take the charge out of your balance.
Right.
So you're just giving them extra money.
Yeah, they're floating your money. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your perspective on it?
About just having the
The app, yeah.
I like it.
I like
think it
having
makes
the
it-
app as an option.
Right.
Right.
You-
What if you're renting a car
Yes. Yeah.
Renting a car. Well,
and you don't have the app, and then you show up, and now you got to do this whole thing,
Yeah.
and you don't know what you're doing.
yeah.
Like Francis Energy is the worst. You can get an account with them and you can get a card, but I don't want to set up an account with this horrible company.
Right.
So I download the app. I go in to get I'm not talking about Francis if defamation's in the cards. You can get. I go to the guest mode, and in guest mode, there's no Google Pay, there's no PayPal option, there's no saving credit card information. You have to manually enter in your credit card number into the app every time you want to start a charge.
Yeah.
And then it takes 30 seconds for it to start after that.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Well, I feel especially with it being outside, if there's a card reader, not all of them are covered. You go to the gas station, they've got a card reader, but it's covered, right? So it's even sometimes
It's also a completely different system. They can activate gas pumps from within inside
right.
the place.
Yeah.
Or you can go in.
You
Yeah.
can go in, if
Pay
you
cash.
need to, and pay cash. But they have that as the option. But so many times you go into market or a grocery store or something, and it doesn't work as it's supposed to, or it's acting up. So then it just creates a whole other mess of issues.
That's when the app is good as a fallback.
Yeah.
I mean, Electrify America all has credit card readers, but they don't really work. So
Yeah. Well, since they've opened it up to all the other OEMs, really, it might just be a moot point because other than VW, everyone signed up to use
and
their.
VW has to sign
They're
up.
going to have. Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of takes care of that.
Yep.
Everyone would just have to download the Tesla app.
They've got me. They've
I've
got
already
me.
got 5 different charge network apps. At least the ChargePoint app works with different networks. So it works with Flow, EVgo, and I think a couple others.
Yeah.
I think it works with
It
Shell or
activates
something.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is
And
nice.
And I like to give ChargePoint a lot of crap because for new users, it's super unintuitive. They don't have any instructions on the charge screen.
Right.
But once you get everything set up, they are the fastest activating chargers,
Yeah.
assuming they work, which here in town they don't.
Right, or they're full power.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Yeah. So let's go over some of like the other issues. Like if someone is, parked right next to each other or blocking it, like what do you do in those situations? Or if they're not even there, what are you supposed to do? Or what do
You just show up with a reserve and go to the next charger.
and that's the thing. Don't go to the charger when you need to charge.
Yeah.
Go a couple of chargers ahead of time.
Yeah.
My God, don't get stranded.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then if you do that, you don't get full speed, and I want.
You want full speed. You've got to be,
Yeah.
You got to need enough charging to get full speed.
There's I don't know if you're familiar with what a Wally's is. It's like
with Bucky the Beaver.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a photo on my phone. My wife with
There's a Wally's in
Bucky.
Illinois that has 4 50 kilowatt chargers, and their plug share description, this isn't a review, a description that they wrote says they're not reliable. Come to our chargers with spare charge to make sure you can make it somewhere else. And these chargers emit a high-pitched noise that has been known to upset animals.
Oh my God.
like beavers.
Yeah.
Bucky's out there. The mascot's going.
That's the beaver. Wally's has a bear.
Oh, that's it. Wally's is the bear. Well, bears, beavers, they all look alike to me.
Have you been to it?
I have been to that one, and it's a really nice location. They've got a separate canopy for it and everything, the same with the one in Fenton, but they put 50 kilowatt chargers in it.
Oh, gosh.
And in Fenton, they put in 60 kilowatt chargers that are run by Francis Energy, which I've already complained about.
Could you hear the supersonic sound?
I could not, no.
They say, I think women apparently are able to hear it more. Like, I have one of those electric toothbrushes. This is totally going off the rails. But, like, those electric toothbrushes, and it's like you stick it back in there, and it's got, like, a UV, like, supersonic cleaner, and I can hear it when it's going off. It's like this really high-pitched ringing. Drives me
Can you
crazy.
hear the Tesla when it's using the motors as heaters for the battery? Can you hear that high-pitched whine?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
So should I just read this checklist since we
Yeah,
keep getting
let's go
distracted?
Yeah. Go right ahead.
Charging etiquette violation card. This is, I presume, to leave on people's windshields to tell them they're being naughty.
And actually, one of our guests I just watched the movie The Holdover over the weekend. We do have a holdover here, Michael Brown, and this was Michael's idea to put this together. But it's always good to have a holdover. I'm taking the Giamatti part. Michael's my holdover.
Yeah.
So
And it was his idea. He was like,
it's his
"You guys should
idea.
just have like these cards,
I-
and then you can check it off and leave it on their
I
windshield."
carry Post-it notes in my car, so I could do this exact thing.
Wow, this is what you need. Be like, here, don't be an asshole.
Yeah, and we're going to do these on regular cardstock. Leave it blank on the back. So if you want to leave a personal note to the offender, you can just write something else on if you want.
Fuck off.
Yes, exactly.
If they look particularly murderous, I'm probably going to scratch out the "please don't be a douche again."
Oh, there you go. He doesn't like the funny part.
What fun is
He's got no sense of humor.
I like the funny part. I like continuing to live.
Oh, there you go. That's right.
Well, shit, you're how tall? 6 foot something?
2.
You can take it.
That's right. It won't hurt much.
It won't hurt
What if
much.
they're driving a Cybertruck?
And they run you over?
Yes.
Okay. I was like,
They
it's
would
gonna be
they would
really
lacerate
cold.
me with those body panels.
Lay down on the road. You got 17 inches of clearance. That's right.
I do have a question about one of these checkboxes, though. What does that mean? Exceeded kilowatt limit.
The people that use the chargers that their car can't take the kilowatts, and
Oh, like a bolt out of 350.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So some of this, we have the knowledge. They don't, but it's all for some of it's for fun.
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
You need a one for iced buy-in EV. When I did that road trip.
Oh,
that
really?
Jackie
I
mentioned-
have one more spot on the card.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make a note.
There was
I don't know
a
if
Electrify America that was being blocked by a Tesla that wasn't charging, and there was a Tesla supercharger that was being blocked by a Mercedes EQS.
Oh my gosh.
there you go. I spy an EV, and now I'll have.
Probably falls under charger squatting.
Iced by an EV, right?
I don't know what you would
It
call
wouldn't
it.
be ice. We'd be EV'd by an EV or something. Yeah.
It's just being a dick.
Yeah. Don't be a douche. Don't be a douche.
Incorrect plug. There we go. That's where that falls under. Every other stall. Yes. Cut in line. There's no lines.
Yeah.
It's not a real thing. Charge to full.
If
That's
you're
the
in
big one.
California, that's a real fucking thing.
We're in Missouri though.
I know, but like,
Hopefully, we'll sell these globally.
yeah.
There's a need for these.
I did wait in a line in Tennessee, but it's because half the stalls were down at that station.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we've got kind of the opposite issue where it's like the infrastructure is still being built out and trying to educate people on like the etiquette parts,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't think that there's much. I don't know if there's the etiquette installed really in California, but they've got more of an infrastructure built out. Whether or not it's maintained, that's another
We've
story.
got different issues. Yeah.
But, yeah, like I stopped at a Tesla a supercharger that was outside of a Target when I was out in, where was it, San Francisco last year. And there was probably 30 stalls and they were all filled up. Some of them had been sitting there, so for sure idling fees. But there was also a line because I was on the way to the airport. And there was only so many that you could stop at, and I was already running late. Like I barely made my flight, but there was a line for it, and I was like, "My God, dude! Like this is insanity." But
Who would have thunk it?
California,
Yeah, California.
yeah, we've got the opposite issues.
Yeah,
over
exactly.
here.
We can't find chargers here.
We can't find them, and
There's
they're
this-
not working.
And then they don't work.
There's a nice supercharger here in Cape Girardeau, but the next one's 100 miles up the road.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's the one at the Huck's gas station just north of town, like at the very north end of town, and then there's
Yeah,
one
at the ACs. Yeah, yeah.
and then there's
One of Minor down south.
and that's it.
Speaking of Minor, there's a Pilot Flying J EVgo going there too. Or no, Matthews. Very near Minor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Got that to look forward to, I guess.
Okay, what did we get to? Cut in line, every other stall.
What is every other stall?
Kind of like at the men's room, at the urinal. I mean, just go to every other stall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is more for Tesla's V2 Super.
Exactly. Yeah.
Charge to full. That's the biggest one. That needs to be like right at the top. And in
Literally.
capitals.
We'll move that to the top and in capital.
Don't charge to 100%, you jerk. I don't see you with an LFP car. Stop charging to 100%.
Yeah.
See, that's another thing. We tell people not to charge to 100%, but then you get cars with LFP battery packs where you're supposed to charge to 100%.
Oh, that's true.
So that adds even more confusion
Yes.
to it. And they have to be charged to 100% to balance every once in a while. So what do you got? If you have a standard range Model 3 owner that lives in an apartment and can only use superchargers, they have to charge to 100% at those superchargers, at least occasionally.
Yeah, it's a balance the pack out. Yeah.
I wonder how that's gonna go with their idling. They're just gonna have to pay for the idling.
Just go there at midnight when no one else is there.
Yeah. Didn't unhitch trailer.
I'm going to veto that one.
Veto.
He doesn't like that one.
I want to leave the trailer hooked up. If I have to unhitch the trailer, the whole trip is ruined.
Well, it's nice if you have the drive-through. You know what I mean?
If you have the drive-through, but then the problem is if you have your charge plug in the back, you can't. You've got to unhook the trailer.
Yeah, that's the biggest fail of the Cybertruck and the Silverado EV, is that the charge port's in the back.
And so you can't pull in with a trailer.
Yeah.
And then back out. Yeah.
Have you ever seen anyone unplug someone else?
I did once,
Yeah.
but they had set their charge limit to 80%. The charger clicked off, and they were the only working stall at this 4-stall Electrify America, so I didn't feel too bad about it.
And they weren't there.
They weren't there, no. When they came back, I said, I unplugged your car without explaining the context, and they started freaking out, so I had to very quickly explain the context. He said, oh, okay, that's fine. And then they drove off.
Shoot. Didn't report issues. What is that one?
Like if it's broken, I mean, how does the company know that the charger's broken? Yeah.
And
Yeah, if
didn't
you-
monitor.
If you believe Electrify America's data, they're perfect.
They're exactly everything's operational at 100% all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't ever report good charge sessions, though. I only report them if they're bad.
That's right.
Well, yeah, I saw like your comments on PlugShare were pretty helpful because it was like, this one's not working. It's not the correct setup. It only provided so much. It had like a cap, you know what I mean? So
That's good to hear, because usually when I write those very angry PlugShare comments, I think I'm going to look like an insane person if anyone goes through and reads these.
I felt like
No,
they
they were useful.
It was
Yeah.
helpful because sometimes they don't include that kind of information.
Yeah.
They say it's all going to work, and then some people are just like, it didn't work. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how it even works.
I
But
see sometimes people report their charge speed as the charge speed that's labeled on the charger. And you can tell that that's wrong when you have like a Bolt owner reporting 150 kilowatts.
Yeah.
yeah. You're like, probably
I
not.
don't believe you now.
Sometimes though too, because you went out to Lexington and
Yes.
you stopped by the Whole Foods.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Sometimes it can be an issue from the infrastructure rollout and
Whole Foods did the responsible thing. They put a level 2 charger in the parking lot
yeah.
that could service 4 different stalls, but there was no, they couldn't stop people. It was a place so busy there was no parking. No matter what.
Where did they put the chargers?
They put the charger in the parking lot instead of over against the wall, first of all, where the power was out of the back of a building, and where they could have added.
It was in like nice, convenient parking.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah, they could have added more spaces and put the EVs over there, no signage.
Yeah.
And then they completely missed it. I got to give Whole Foods a point for trying, but 99 points for missing it all.
Yeah.
There's a hotel in Nashville that's like that. They have 8 EV chargers, and they're all right next to the entrance. So every night you go there, it's just full of work trucks.
Like there's no sign saying EV only, or even on like the actual parking spot where it has like the reserve for EV, and then someone had like left their food on top of the charger, like littering. So it's like,
they left their old Cokes on there and stuff. Yeah, I mean, and I think that EV owners, we would definitely park in a less convenient place to get charging.
yeah,
It doesn't have to be in the front row.
charge
Yeah.
for sure.
And back to EV education, a lot of EV owners don't know the difference between AC and DC charging.
No.
I've encountered several people. I've encountered enough people that I've started asking the question, are you opportunity charging or are you trying to get somewhere? Because I've seen people that are trying to plug into the level 2 charge point that's next to the DC fast chargers because they think that is the fast charger.
Oh,
Yeah.
And so I've just started asking anyone that I help there, are you trying to get somewhere? Because this is the wrong charger for that.
Or do you have time?
A lot of the times they'll answer, yeah, I'm glad you told me that. Because they just don't know the difference.
yeah.
And I think that confusion is going to grow when we switch to the NAX plug that doesn't have a visually different plug for AC and DC.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah,
You
absolutely.
are the traveling charger.
He is. We should just get you a.
I wish that didn't have to exist.
I think that's probably the next step, though, is
Yeah.
education and mentorship, and
Right.
maybe it should and the people at the dealers, a lot of them don't know this. They don't know how to.
Thing,
They
no.
don't know
No,
anything
they don't know how to tell you what to do with the car once you drive off with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're still trying to figure out how to build the cars.
Yeah.
I talked to a guy at a Ford dealership, a Ford salesman at a Ford dealership about the Mach-E, and I was comparing it to the Bolt because I just came from a Chevy dealership, and he didn't know what the Bolt was. And then he told me that he spent 5 years working at a Chevy dealership. That was his excuse for not knowing anything about the Fords. And then he told me he didn't know what a Bolt was.
Wow.
Even that it existed.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Is he a salesman or
Yes,
a manager?
he was
or-
a salesman.
Okay.
So
Shit,
disappointing.
even sometimes the managers
I
don't
was at
know.
Ruther Ford in Herculaneum, Missouri.
That's right.
Yeah. Blowing up his spot. There you go. What was his name?
On the other hand, I did encounter a salesman at that same dealership when I test drove a Lightning who was a fan of mine, and he gave me preferential treatment, so that would
Okay.
kind of skewed the bias a
The
little.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. Cool.
That happened a lot.
No, not at all. I mean, should I make something up? Yeah, it happens all the time. I'm a big deal.
Yeah.
Nice.
That is too funny. Yeah.
Unplugged other, is this a common thing? I don't think I've ever seen that.
We're just
You unplug someone else.
Yeah.
we're just giving all the options, just in case.
Right. Yeah. We could even like leave open a spot so that they could write it in. And
You
check
can write in. Yeah, we should other.
other.
Yeah.
Other, and just leave a blank and everyone just writes FU in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't be a newbie.
Yeah. Well, I
Newbie.
think we're gonna use the don't be a douche.
Don't be a douche.
Yeah.
I think this is less fun, but it conveys more meaning. If you replace iced and EV with just blocking a charger, because someone that drives a work truck and parks in a charger spot isn't going to care that you iced an EV and may not even know what that
I
means.
need to know. Okay, so we'll blocking a
I'm
charger
putting
instead
way
of
too
that.
much utility in this fun thing.
No, no. Actually, we do. This may actually help some people, even just to look down the list.
Yeah. Blocking a charge.
And these will be on the EVTV store tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already got the draft going. They're available
Yeah.
tomorrow. That's what this is.
I'll
This
take
is
5,000.
this is the final
Yeah.
session before we go ahead and print.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll still keep my Post-it notes with me. So
There you may have more. Yeah, it may take a longer list.
Yeah.
you took the only working charger, you jerk.
Yes, that's right.
Sell your Nissan Leaf.
Well, I had heard there are some people that I think in the South Southwest or no Southeast, especially that they were like buying EVs and then they were returning them. I don't know how much of a percentage that is, but I don't know.
I heard of a guy recently who bought a Mach-E for $26,000 because it was lemon lawed. I don't know what issue it was lemon lawed over. Actually, related to that, I was at an Electrify America in Illinois, and a guy in a Subaru Solterra pulled up. And I was excited because that's the first one I've seen in the wild. And I talked to the guy because he was having so much trouble with the charger that he started punching it at one point.
Oh my god!
But
Is that charger abuse?
Oh, really?
But I sympathized for him because he wasn't pulling up to that charger to get somewhere. He was pulling up to collect data because he went to the dealership to get an update on his Solterra because they don't have over-the-air updates. And after the update, his charge speed went from like 80 kilowatts-ish to 30.
Whoa.
And he was gathering data to prove that it was that bad so he could take it to the dealership and say, fix this.
Yeah.
And he knew another Solterra owner that had their car lemon lawed over that update that worked the charging speed. You can't do a road trip at 30 kilowatts.
No.
You could hardly do a road trip at 80 kilowatts, but at least that's better than 30.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think there's a lot of people that are irritated at the range of the new Cybertrucks, but it's like unless you're really going on like a road trip.
Towing is all I care about. I want huge inflated battery capacity for towing.
Oh, okay. What are you going to tow?
My cars.
All 13?
Yeah.
At once.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, but like outside of that, I don't think it's changed. It's still just 37 miles a day average.
I want to tow with an EV because the
Yeah.
experience is so much better than with a combustion truck.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. It's not any cheaper or anything because I mean, supercharger pricing is, especially when you're using that much power, isn't going to be that much cheaper than like diesel. But the towing experience is better.
And around here and in rural America, that's probably going to be the biggest complaint is you can't tow.
Yeah.
Not effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally valid too.
Absolutely. Yep.
So what are you working on now? Any other trips planned?
Probably.
Yeah.
I've been talking to, this may be name dropping. I've been talking to Aptera about going down and filming with one of their cars.
Oh, that'd be sweet. The solar one?
Yeah.
Solar car. Yeah.
I want to do a video where I compare all the stats to the efficiency numbers to normal EVs and also combustion trucks, because they're claiming 10 miles per kilowatt hour of efficiency on that thing, which is 10 watt hours. 10 watt hours per mile.
Yeah.
Just insane.
Yeah,
Or 100 watt hours per mile. One of those two.
100 or 10, that's
Close enough.
big difference.
Yeah.
100. It's 100 watt hours per
Okay.
mile.
100 watt hours a mile.
That would be 100. Never mind. Anyway, and just comparing that to normal EVs, like that's double a really efficient standard range Model 3, and also comparing it to combustion vehicles. I did the math, and my F-150, assuming I think it was 18 miles per gallon, that's 0.5 miles per kilowatt hour. It's just, when you start comparing it to combustion, MPGE is one thing, but when you start comparing it to combustion in terms of miles per kilowatt hour, the difference becomes amazing.
Yeah.
And in terms of miles per gallon equivalent, 10 miles per kilowatt hour is like 300 miles per gallon equivalent.
Oh my.
It's nuts.
Yeah. That's insane. That's a huge difference. That'd be cool to see. Did they change the look of those at all?
Not
Because it kind
much.
of reminded me when I was looking at it a while back. It reminded me of the 7.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like the look.
Well, you know, Aptera competed in the X Prize with 7.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were in the same race together.
Shit.
Also,
Go,
Twike.
Kevin. That's awesome. Well, that should be fun. Be on the lookout for that.
It's not happening until early next year, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, shit, we're pretty much already there.
We're getting there.
Yeah. So,
And I had an accident yesterday with my latest project.
what happened?
Have I shown you the Twike? I've got a pedal-assisted EV, if you could call it an EV. It's a three-wheeled. They call it a hybrid. For audio listeners, I'm using air quotes. It's an electric car, ostensibly with pedal assist, so you can feel like you're doing something. And I took it for its first ever test drive after building a new battery pack for it yesterday, and the steering locked up, and then my shoestring got tangled in the bicycle chain, and I couldn't use the brakes either. So I
hybrids
on its first.
Oh my god.
That's this is the complexity We like
I'm gonna have to see
Ike
this.
Occam's razor.
I'm like envisioning like Fred Flintstone.
It is
car.
Flintstone, yeah, exactly.
I gotta show
With,
Like, yeah,
but Fred didn't have shoelaces.
Yeah.
Well, here's the photo of it in the ditch.
Wow.
For any of you who can't see it,
That looks like the head of like a rocket or something.
Yeah, I think
oh my, look at that!
plane without wings.
It is. Oh,
This is a German company. This was built in '98, but I built a new battery pack for it and then took it for a test drive, and then crashed it
Oh, God.
immediately.
what
You'll
fun!
have those. I mean, it makes for a good story.
It does. Yeah, I already edited the beginning of the video to have the beginning of the crash.
Oh, really?
Where it was,
You're gonna
it
start
doesn't
with
look
that?
like, yeah, it doesn't look like anything was happening, but I know because I was there that the steering locked up. I couldn't move it past a certain position, and then just panic set in on my face, and then I just started saying shit over and over again. Am I allowed to curse on the podcast now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's mandatory.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we curse all the time. I'm a sailor's daughter, you know what I mean?
that's it.
Territory. So, fuck it. Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Well, thank you, thank you.
We had a little party, had some sliders, got a little bit of discussion going. So,
Watch some Cybertruckage.
We did.
watch some, man.
Watched a glorified marketing video and some people being strolled through a lobby. That was
Yes.
such a weird event.
It was bizarre.
Oh man, yeah. I wish there was just more to it. I was like, there's no way he's fucking with us. Like,
Yeah.
he's got to be right. And then
It was the
like,
same thought I
and-
had in the initial Cybertruck event. He's joking, right?
Man,
Apparently
I
not.
mean, I'm so excited for it, but I was really hoping to get more information.
Will you still be excited in 2 years?
Fuck yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We're gonna have 5. Might do like a teardown giveaway. We'll see.
Yeah, we've got big plans.
You're not just going
Yeah.
to drive all of them into the river and see if they float?
We'll turn one into a boat. We'll just
one into
into a
a little
plane. Yeah,
Dick.
we've got big plans.
It just takes off over the water.
That's right. We'll catapult it over the river into Illinois. Trebuchet it.
Oh man, yeah, no, and
Cyber
that
chunking.
bridge that you went over in that video. Just thinking back quick, it was the really narrow one. I don't remember exactly where you were, but that was
Cairo,
how,
Illinois. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how the bridge used to be next to the one right here.
Oh, this
Bill
big,
Iver.
beautiful bridge used to be a little skinny thing?
Oh yeah, that little stump is the yeah.
And it was literally just like one lane each way. I think a guy had fallen in when they were pouring the concrete, and
Well, I mean, they were built in the early 20th century. Probably lots of people died building that thing.
they just kept pouring because they couldn't get them out. But I can't tell you how many people have come up to me. And
What?
Yeah.
We're not just going to gloss over that. They poured the concrete over him.
They buried him in there.
Yeah, back in the day, they did a lot of dams and things like that. Somebody fell in, they just kept pouring.
Yeah, well, because they couldn't get him out, so he just literally got buried alive in concrete.
How far we've
His
come
name
in
was,
civilization.
and we think his name was Jimmy Hoffa.
Oh man!
There's Jimmy.
But there's so many people that were like, that thing took so many of my side view mirrors, like, because it was so narrow and sketchy. Like,
If they built the new
there's
bridge,
still
why
a
didn't
bunch of them.
why didn't they raise the speed limit?
you know, right?
It's a coming old tickets, a little revenue for East Cape Girardeau, population 200.
No, there's that many people.
Well, we're not sure.
40,000.
We're not sure who they're counting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Half
Feral
of them.
cats,
Probably like 400. But yeah, I think that they're finally redoing a lot of those bridges. But yeah, those things are sketch. I saw you going over it. I was like, ooh.
Well, on the way back from that trip, the other bridge next to Cairo, the one that goes south,
Yeah.
it was closed. So I thought,
For a year.
Yeah, they're closing it for a year.
for a year?
Yeah.
Oh, there's no one there, so I just walked over it. It was barricaded, so I got a little sketched out in the middle of it. But
Yeah. It was ready to collapse. All it needed was another couple hundred pounds.
Yeah.
It's good you did it by yourself. Yeah, exactly.
I thought if someone drives out into this bridge, I'm toast. There is no pedestrian area. I mean,
Yeah.
there shouldn't be on a bridge like that, but there's no space.
Well, I've heard about people when it was still there, on the one that was here in Cape. They would walk across, and I'm
Ride
like, "There's
bicycles."
No sidewalk, nothing at all, no space for it.
The thing that horrified me about the bridge that I walked across was that the guardrails were added later, and it was built at a time when horses and carriages were still a thing. So some brave soul took a horse and a carriage across this narrow bridge with no guardrails back in I think it was built in like 1903 or something. Just nuts.
Shit.
And then imagine the horses on there with cars.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Noisy old
Model
Oh,
Ts.
God.
Model Ts, yes.
Model Ts.
Model T's driving up backwards because they have gravity-fed fuel.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Oh, man.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you again.
Yeah, thanks again. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yes.
So, are you heading back up tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dogs.
Well, thanks again.
Doggies! Yeah.
All right. We're out. Okay.
Bye.
Bye! Love you, Elon. Check us out on social at EVTV Motors.